So guys, before I got sick and went on dialysis and had a kidney transplant, I was traveling everywhere. My husband and I are very big into traveling, but because of my illness, that put a halt, like a complete halt to everything in my life. And so you know what I decided? I am going to live my best life. So in today's video, we're gonna be talking about traveling after a kidney transplant. So if you guys know anyone that could benefit from these types of videos, please go ahead and share them. And if you're new to my channel, what's up? Take a moment to hit subscribe and don't forget to hit that notification bell to be notified when I post my next kidney videos. All right, guys, let's go ahead and get started. Preparing for a trip can be very tedious and very stressful, right? So it's always important that we make a list. So this is why I want to go over how to prepare to travel, because I recently went to the beautiful Maui, which is in Hawaii, and Hawaii was absolutely beautiful. It has been on my bucket list for a very long time. And just because we go through certain things like this, you just don't know when your time is up. And I want to live my best life. So I came up with a list of things that I use to make sure that I'm prepared for when I'm traveling and I'm going places. And the first thing that I always do before I travel, I don't care if it's a staycation or going, a couple hours away, another state, or even Hawaii, you pack extra meds. And I mean extra meds. Like for me, I placed an order, right? So I get my medications delivered to my doorstep every month. And I called in an order just a little bit early because I wanted to go to Hawaii with a full 30 days of medication. Yes, I know I'm coming back home, but you just never know what can happen in life. And so I just wanted to make sure I was overpacked, I guess, because I just don't want to get caught and I don't have my medications, and then I have to call my transplant team and it's a whole uproar and I cannot afford to lose my kidney. So you always make sure that you pack extra meds and you keep it with you. Do not put your medications in your suitcase. So that's why it's always good to do like a carry-on bag or put it in your purse or whatever it may be, your book bag, but just never put your medications in an actual suitcase, because you never know. That suitcase can get lost, they can misplace it, damage can happen, anything can happen. So make sure you pack extra meds and you keep it with you. The second thing that I always do is off-peak time. So I'm traveling off-peak times, guys. I don't want to travel when everybody else is traveling. So for this trip, I left very early in the morning. I'm talking about I think we left at 7 something in the morning, almost 8 o'clock. And that was perfect timing because it wasn't too much, traffic on the road, but also in the airport. If I can recommend anything to you guys, especially you guys that are battling a chronic illness, is get TSA pre-check, global entry, any of those. Yes, you have to pay a little bit of money for it, but it's definitely worth it because there's less taking off your clothes, taking off your shoes. It's just less interaction, and I prefer that. I want to walk through those gates with no issues. And then you don't have to wait in that long line with everybody surrounding you. I have a thing about that. I just don't like to be in big crowds anymore. So I just try to find the best thing. So I had got TSA pre-check before I got sick, and it's actually almost up. And I think I need to go and renew. I think it's up next year. But it was the best investment that I've ever spent in my life. I think for 5 years, it was $85. No, they're not paying me to promote this, but I'm just telling you guys because I think it's so important, especially if you have a situation like I have, that you go ahead and get that and you travel off peak time. So it's just less crowds in the airport. And coming back, I think we left late at night. And so we got back to Georgia the next morning. So again, just off times, less traveling. I also pack snacks. I don't go anywhere without snacks. Even when I was in dialysis, I had snacks. But I pack snacks so I don't have to do as much stops. I don't want to be touching anything. I don't want to just, again, be in those crowds. So make sure you pack snacks because you never know, you might get hungry. If you're traveling overnight like I did, you have to take medication, and we already know plain food is not the best food. So you want to make sure you have your own things so you can, take your medications and whatnot. Sanitize. So I walk with hand sanitizer, wipes, things like that, so you can wipe down your seats, wipe your hands constantly before you eat, because germs is so important that we've got to make sure that we're constantly taking care of ourselves, because we don't want to get sick. We don't need no bacteria. We want to enjoy our vacation. So, and on top of that, we still live in the times where, you know, that there's a lot of germs going around. So we just want to just be cautious at all times. So even for me, my husband, my kids, I'm like the Sanitize queen. I had Sanitize on my book bag. I had one hooked to my hip. Like, I don't play that. I'm constantly like squirting. I look at the kids, squirt, and let them wipe and wash their hands as well. But also just washing your hands, taking that moment, going to the bathroom and just like rinsing off, because sanitizer is good, but soap and water is even better. But when I'm traveling, I'm also wearing a mask. I know that the mask mandate was lifted and you don't have to wear a mask on the plane, but because of my chronic illness, I'm constantly wearing my mask. I don't really care what everybody else is doing around me. I don't care how silly I may look. I just want to live a long life, and if I can limit the intake of germs or me catching anything, I'm gonna do what I need to do. So I had on the N95 mask. I wore that in my trip, and sometimes if I'm like out around town, I don't wear that mask, but that's for the plane. But I just wear my regular mask and I'm okay with that. So also when I'm packing, I make an emergency list. This is on a piece of paper. I don't care if it's on a card, but I constantly have that with me, because on that emergency list, if anything happens to me, somebody can reach into my pocket, reach into my purse, and they can figure out, you know, what to do. So on that list, you have your medications, the doses that you take, the times that you take your medications, your doctor name. I have my transplant team, or maybe like your primary doctor, whoever it may be. You can put everybody for all I care. But you know, a name, number, address, your family info. So for example, that would be my husband, my mom, my dad, somebody like that, where if you can't reach my husband, you can reach my mom, you can reach my dad, you can reach somebody, but you make sure you put all that information on a card, and you let somebody that you know traveling with you that you have this. You can also take a picture, leave it in your phone as a, you know, whatever you need to do, but just make sure that you have an emergency list, so you can just let somebody know, like, hey, in my bag, there's my list, so they know what to do. So another thing you want to do is do not drink the water. I don't care where you go. I don't care if you go to Mexico. I don't care if you go to Hawaii. I don't drink anybody's tap water. We bought water in the store by the cases, and I'll just lay them out on the counter and I'll just drink it throughout the day, throw it in recyclable, whatnot. But I do not drink anyone's tap water just because of bacteria. You don't know, not every place is the same as at home. And even at home, I don't just drink regular tap water like that anyway. Far less for me to go out the country or go anywhere and drink that water. But they always say that it's best that you drink bottled water, that you know, you take off the cap, you know that you pour that water, and again, it's just less issues. You're there to enjoy yourself. You're there to have a good time. You don't want to get sick. You don't want to upset stomach. You don't want diarrhea. You don't want none of that happening. So just be cautious also with the foods that you're eating. You know the types of foods that you're supposed to eat and what you're not supposed to eat. Don't try to do anything out of the norm, especially because you're away from home, you're away from your doctors and your team. So just kind of stay in line and eat what you're used to eating on a daily basis. And the biggest tip of it all is to listen to your body. When I was traveling, there was times where I was just beat and tired. And I wish I did listen to my body, but you know, there was times where I just felt like I wanted to keep going. But there were times where I took that moment of rest. I laid out on a chair, I relaxed, I read a good book, had a mocktail. For those of you that do not know, I do not drink alcohol, but a good little, you know, maybe a little ginger ale with a little strawberry something inside of it, just like a nice little drink to make you feel, you know, all cute and bubbly. But I did that and just relaxed. I laid out by the water. I did some stretching exercises, because you know, health is wealth, and don't care where you go, you can still do a stretch video. And you guys already know that I have tons of stretch videos that you can do at home, before bed, on vacation, and I will drop one of them right here so you can see what the next video I want you guys to watch, because just because you're on vacation doesn't mean that your time is up. I just want you to still focus on your health. But that is how I personally prepare to travel after I got my kidney transplant. And I hope this video you find valuable. If you guys know anyone that can benefit from these types of videos, please go ahead and share them. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you guys on my next video. Love you guys.